Hello to everyone and welcome to the third webinar in a series for technology entrepreneurship. This webinar topic deals with the development and management of a product pipeline supported by new technology. So welcome aboard today. Several things administratively. Just want to remind everyone to turn on their speakers so that they can hear the webinar. In the lower right hand corner of the screen you'll see a very small text messaging in the corner. That's for our text chat and the questions that you have for us to answer. There is a pull down menu called feedback, though you'll be able to pull that down. We will not be using that feature. And a reminder that for your questions, if you send them to host, I'll get them, but I'm going to ask you to send them to presenters so that all of us as presenters can read what these questions are and share our answers with you. The webinar will have 60-minute presentation followed by 15 or 20 minutes of questions and answers, and this is the same format that we've been using. TRDA, Florida's Technological Research and Development Authority, is hosting this entire series. We're now in the third one. For those of you who are not aware, TRDA is an independent special district of the state of Florida. It was created by the Florida legislature in 1987. To find out more about our programs and the services that we offer, please go to our website, which is www.trda.org. Presenters for today's webinar include Wayne Pitcher, Art Cracky, and myself. Wayne Pitcher in his early career worked at Corning, which is a wonderful organization for mentoring folks in technology and product development. There he developed an expertise in immobilized enzymes, so it's a life science type of work that Wayne has done. He helped Corning establish Genentech, which is a joint venture between Genentech and Corning. During Wayne's career at Genentech, he was a pioneer for industrial biotechnologies, and in that work there, where he was vice president of technology, he was successful in putting together with his group a number of collaborations with folks such as Procter & Gamble and DuPont. He is retired from Genentech and now works as a technology management consultant. Art Cracky, who I'm just delighted to be have this opportunity to present with, has 30 years experience with ATI. ATI is Allegheny Technology Incorporated. Its original form years ago was Allegheny Ludland Specialty Steel, and it has now expanded into a variety of technologies, but those technologies are all focused on metals, nickel, titanium, iron, and cobalt-based alloys, and there's related technologies such as vapor metal deposition, which his group can do. So it's broader than just metals. It's technology related activities that they undertake as well. During Art's 30 years at ATI, he's worked and managed technology, sales, R&D, and business development. His current title is Vice President of R&D and Business Development for the company. Some of you know me as manager, Bernie Zuzo, as manager of TRDA's Technology Commercialization Program with the strongest focus on SBIR technologies. quick rundown of the prior two webinars which we had. These two webinars build into the third webinar today, so I want to give you a quick summary. The first webinar addressed the technical development cycle and gave some insight into that full cycle. The second webinar dealt with translating technology into business terms and also translating company capability for prospectors to have insight as to what the company actually does and how that company is differentiated. This is a classical S-curve for product development. Products are created, they are sold rapidly, then they reach a point of diminishing returns, die, and are terminated. We took a look in the first webinar at only the technical development phase. And that's this section in here where the company proves that they can in fact design it. We took a look at three phases within the technical cycle: technology discovery, development, product design, and manufacturing. We ended it there after we reduced the technical risk. And we addressed important issues in that phase, such as describing technology features and matching those features with design criteria for new products. In the second webinar, we still addressed the technical phase by translating technology into business terms. If you recall, those who were with us then, the technology was put into an explanation of its features, its differentiating feature, its applications, its markets, its IP position, and the business opportunity for third parties with the company. Joe Marie and I extended this work into the initial introduction of the product into the marketplace, distribution, and sales. Joe Marie brought in the supply chain and explained what type of companies are in the technology development phase, such as universities, research institutes, SBIR companies, and then in product design, the engineering service companies, simulation companies, prototyping and low volume production companies are in that particular phase. And in the manufacturing design phase of the technical cycle, she made it clear that we've got companies such as process and the things you do when you address manufacturing design, the analyses of the manufacturing processes, the critical components, etc. And then the scaling up from the pilot plant. All that is done in that phase. Joe Marie went beyond this then and talked about the kind of companies in the supply chain who are distribution companies, marketing communication companies, and then there are end users within this chain. So those are the issues that we took a look at in webinars 1 and 2. Today we'll tackle the topic for managing a technology product pipeline. Companies strategically create technology platforms from which families of new products are spun. We want to make that clear today because it's a fundamental tenet within pipeline management. This webinar will take a look at the mechanics for building the pipeline and for managing it. The outcome from this work is a group of new products that are introduced each year and a sustainable stream of new products over time. There are techniques that we'll discuss for actually organizing these multiple projects because the stages of development are critical for properly organizing them in a meaningful way. So you can see we're going from one technology and its products in the first two webinars to now multiple technologies which lead to families of products and the need to organize that process in this third webinar. The discussion today want us to take a look at the special kinds of transactions that companies use to leverage their internal resources. Each of the small companies don't have everything they need. They need to leverage their resources, but their resources also include capabilities, which are also limited. So they'll need to supplement those internal capabilities, and we want to address that today.
You have a story about a product platform and how product platforms can change the future of a company. Would you tell us about that story, Dr. Pitcher?
Yes, I think it's very interesting as you try to link technology strategy with the pipeline to raise this topic of or concept of product platforms. It's been a useful one. The particular story that I always have found interesting was concerning a Japanese company, a small Japanese company, that started out to make motorbike engines, little two-cycle engines. Well, they became expert in doing that, and gradually they used these capabilities to expand into larger engines. They started with small trucks and then with cars, and eventually they worked use of this engine platform into becoming a major automobile producer. That company is, as Honda. So this ability to develop a family of products from a common base or platform offers not only efficiencies in using resources, but also allows a more rapid development of expertise. In other words, you can move down the learning curve more rapidly with this kind of approach.
That was Wayne Pitcher speaking. Sorry I did not make that transition clear, but that was Wayne speaking. We're now moving on to an overview of the pipeline. This is a list of subtopics that we will address today in our explanation for the pipeline. We'll take a look first at definitions. Then we'll take a look at where the pipeline actually starts and where it ends. And in between, we'll discuss some components in the management of the pipeline. Towards the end, there will be tips which Wayne and Art want to share with us, and then we're going to hear the real case example of ATI and how Art and his special metals company has used pipeline management in running their company. We're going to wrap it up, and then we'll enter into questions and answers. Wikipedia did not have a definition for technology pipeline, so I'm going to give you my definition. And that definition says that technology pipeline is a series of technologies which are advanced or integrated into new products. The outcome of this is that a company can compete on better product performance or compete on an innovation basis. Wikipedia does have a definition for product pipeline, and that definition says that the pipeline is a series of products which are developed and sold by the company. It also says that ideally those products are at different stages in their life cycle. And of course that's why we do pipeline management, because they are at different stages in their life cycle, but even in the development phase they are in different stages of development, as Wayne just pointed out. Let me just read this last sentence to you. Having at any point in a company's life some products in the introduction phase, the growth phase for the product, which is the sales phase, and then the mature stage when the market starts to contract for one reason or another. Might be new technology and better products that result. Okay, where does the pipeline begin? Well, it begins with the corporate goals. This is the strategic planning process for the entire company. Each year, goals are set. Those goals are not capriciously set. They are based upon input from the various departments in the company. The goals are set, and then each department determines what contributions they're going to make towards those goals in the way of objectives and plans to meet those objectives. Two key strategic plans involve technology and marketing. The technology identifying the capabilities of the company and the technical needs to develop new products. Marketing to identify where the trends are in the marketplace, but also what the customers need and what the customer requirements are for a new product. These marketing strategies and technology strategies get blended into the project pipeline, which then serve to address the corporate goals.
Would you please comment on the relationship between corporate goals and technology strategy, and maybe its relationship to the marketing strategy?
Well, ideally, these would be well integrated. The technology strategy really ought to exist to support the goals of the company. Now, a company may have been founded based on some technology strengths, but you really need to have an integrated approach to handling the business, the technology, and the final then introductions of products from that kind of operation.
So we're going to progress now into the components necessary for putting the pipeline together. This is a bit of a natural sequence of steps. I'll give you the overview here, but can address, because of time limits, only certain components in some detail. Starting with the technology needs of the company, that's determined from the corporate plan following from the corporate goals. Once we know what those technology needs are, then a series of projects are identified and described for consideration. There will be a screening process to narrow that list to a doable number of projects. Each of those projects then have requirements for development and design. So there's a full package of requirements. An internal audit wisely would be done to find out what resources and capabilities the company has internally. Once you establish that, there is a gap between the total requirements and what the company can do, so there are external capabilities necessary to supplement the project so that the entire project might be completed. Once the list is narrowed and the candidate projects have been selected, and the next step is to work on them, the internal resources will need to be allocated among them. Now we have a project pipeline to begin to work with.
the product pipeline exists to further the goals of the company. Now that may seem obvious, but it's all too easy for companies to go astray. These corporate goals may take the form of coordinated business or marketing and technology strategies. Other entities, such as manufacturing and regulatory, can also come into play. When you have a decision regarding the product pipeline, you have to make it in light of these corporate strategies. Projects that don't fit these strategies should be abandoned, or maybe even better, sold off.
So we're now going to take a little detailed look at just a few of the components in the pipeline. The first one that we'll look at are the project requirements. Once we know what that project is, we then need to figure out what the actual deliverable is going to be at the end of the project. To get there, the project scope needs to be determined. A work package will be established identifying the work tasks. Those tasks will represent a certain number of man hours, which will extend over a period of time, a necessary period of time to get the work done. If we're wise, we'll identify critical milestones along the development path and measure our performance against those milestones. Those milestones are usually schedule and budget. We'll take a look at the equipment, specialized equipment, general equipment, specialized labs, general labs, and then we'll also establish the various types of engineering and scientific disciplines we need. And you're going to hear me talk about concurrent technologies again so that they don't get overlooked. And then the entire project scope will be evaluated in terms of its actual cost. Once the requirements are set, we'll take a look at an internal audit. What do we actually have in the way of scientists and engineering disciplines, and what's the level of expertise? And also, how many of them do we need beyond what we have in order to accomplish the project? And will the internal ones always be available, or will they be working on other projects? We'll define what equipment and labs we have, and for concurrent technologies, we'll take a look first at our internal portfolio to see if we have those technologies or if we may have to go elsewhere to get them. And of course, the financial strength and ability to underwrite these projects is crucially important. For external capabilities, we want to supplement what we have internally against the requirements for the project. So we'll identify the engineering disciplines and the scientists and the level of expertise we need to get on the outside to supplement what we have on the inside. Likewise, we'll do the same thing with the equipment and the labs with the proprietary technology. Financially, we may need to get external investment, but that can come in different forms, not necessarily an investment from investors. Our partners or collaborators can provide in-kind contribution or cost share with us, reducing the amount of cash we need to come up with. These are important considerations in technology development management and product design. Before any deal can be put together with another organization, a relationship needs to get established. You cannot turn a relationship on like a light switch. It takes time to develop a relationship so that a transaction can occur. But there are a variety of transactions which can be used from, let me get the pointer again, sorry folks. Here we go. Okay. From research discovery through technology development and product design and eventually manufacturing, there are several different types of transactions that can be put together. We actually can draw from our internal capability and internal technology that we already have. Where we don't have it, we might acquire it from the outside, or we might develop that technology or product internally. We might contract with folks outside to develop externally. We could partner with folks. We could also put a collaboration together with some folks, maybe even an alliance with a number of folks, and all cost share and reduce the cost for each of us, and yet have certain access to the intellectual property output. And the technology that we have that we don't intend to put to use on our projects, we could license out, generating cash to reduce the development costs for the other projects that we're committed to. Once we've identified some external capability needs and companies who have them, then we want to attract them to our projects. We can do that by a contract for services. We could also do it by co-development arrangements, or as Wayne mentioned, a joint venture which Corning and Genentech put together in order to create the industrial enzyme company Genentech. Another source, and this is really a traditional source that is underutilized by small companies in putting a transaction together, is for an end user who's got a problem and wants the technology as a solution to actually fund the advancement of that technology into an end-use product slash solution. Art is going to talk much more about that later. Okay, here's another audio recorded question for Wayne.
Dr. Pitcher, when your core technology then was utilized by an end user, what were the types of arrangements that you might have? Was it a licensing arrangement, or was there a co-development arrangement, or did that end user provide the funding for Genentech to do the end-use development work? What type of...
Well, the kind of thing we like to do was enter into exclusive relationships for a particular market or market segment or a particular product. You know, we'd like to define that as narrowly as we could, but give our customer basically exclusive rights. In return for that, they would do funding. Usually the funding was pretty easy for the early stages, first few $1 million, and then as you get into development where the costs go way up, it was harder to get full funding for that. But what we would do is retain the basic patent position on the materials we were making. Our customer would have the rights to use that for their own application, so they'd have a strong position in their own application. We then could take the technology and use it in ideally in other applications, or at least try to get it to translate into helping with other products. Again, this is sort of it's almost like you put together a consortium, except we were the repository of the base patent and technology position, and our customers got exclusive rights for their markets, the applications.
Okay, with that background information, I'd like to offer you a real-life illustration from a biochemical company and their work product for developing a product and technology pipeline. This is a company that has some proprietary molecules which they develop end-use products for, but they also have a particular skill in developing the formulations necessary to deliver the molecules. They focus upon molecules which control insects, and they specialize in these various delivery systems to get the molecules to the insects to interfere with certain biological functions within the insect. So you've got a purple line for activities licensing in a technology, a blue line for a co-development agreement. You've got a purple line where a phase 2 SBIR proposal was written, a red line for delivery formation. Another task is to do some co-development work, and a very important task is to do field testing and collect data, which then gets submitted to FDA for regulatory approval. All of this work will occur over a period of about 4 years on this particular pipeline chart. There's 7 different projects, 6 different technologies. The first technology is a technology where a molecule which is a pheromone is a molecule which attracts things, is combined with an adulticide, which is another molecule that kills things. So the first project is to attract fruit flies and then have that fruit fly come in contact with a molecule which will disrupt its nervous system or affect its reproduction system or affect its digestive system. So the first 2 projects will be the application of the core technologies to fruit flies. The second will be to wasps. The first work task in the pipeline is to license in the core molecules, the pheromone and also the adulticide. The second step then is to develop a formulation to actually carry that molecule to the insect and to the specific place within the insect to inhibit the target biological function. The next step is to, in the field, conduct the tests for efficacy and for safety. And those usually are, not usually, they are first aquatic impact, and if the aquatic animals are harmed, then that's the end of the project. If they are not harmed, then you look at mammals, and mammals are close to humans. If the impact on the mammals is minimal, then we'll proceed further. And by the way, pharmaceutical work includes clinical trials, which then include humans after the mammalian tests are done. So we've got 2 projects being worked on in the way of delivery systems for the same core technology: wasps, fruit flies, attractants, and some type of adulticide to control those 2 target insects. The next technology is a baculovirus, which is an adulticide. It's actually like the viruses that give us colds, etc., only these act on insects. The target insect for this project will be mosquitoes. Now we want to develop 2 delivery systems. One will be a spray for the baculovirus as an adulticide to affect mosquitoes. The other will be a time-release capsule to release the adulticide over time, and that's a different kind of delivery system. So what we'll look at is, in phase 1, the licensing in work, which will take about 3 months, and once that's done, then for the spray, we'll work on developing a formulation to spray that baculovirus molecule onto the insects. We'll go through the field testing work again, and then we'll submit that data to USDA. At the end of that, we hope we'll have a successful molecule and delivery system unit. We'll then get that into the marketplace to generate sales for us. The time release capsule will work to license those molecules in. There'll be a gap because we just want to schedule other work to be done to keep the other projects moving forward, but we'll come back to this and do the formulation work, we'll do the field testing work, and then we'll submit the data to USDA. By the way, some of this work will, producing the baculovirus, which may be genetically engineered. Actually, you get down here to the last project, there will be a genetically engineered product. This is where Wayne and his fermentation processes are used to deal with the expression of the poison molecule, which on the last project is a toxin that in nature comes from scorpions. That same gene is extracted out of the scorpion and is expressed in a virus. That that gene then the toxin which is expressed by the virus is then harvested, and then that is formulated for delivery to insects. But I want to come back to the peptide, which inhibits protein digestion. This particular technology will be used for a variety of insect crops, crop insects. Strategically, they'd have to determine which would be the first insect to attack. But that's a different matter that would be addressed later. Don't want to take up more time on that. What I want to get to is once the technology, which would be the peptide molecule, is licensed in or co-developed in this case with someone else, then an SBI proposal is prepared for the delivery system. And the Phase 2 SBIR proposals last about 2 years and run about $1 million or $1.5 million to underwrite that cost. Once the delivery system is established, then there's the field testing again, and the data is submitted to the USDA. Putting all of these projects together creates the pipeline which flows new product forward into eventual sales. So there's an array of projects that will eventually lead to end-use products. Each of those, when you drop down to stages of development, each of those are at different stages of development. Different companies use different stages. NASA stages of development are different from DoD stages of development, which are different from corporate stages of development. But the important thing is that you're going to move from proof of concept through to multiple designs and multiple prototypes, eventually getting to a final design and validation of that design. I have a question to ask Wayne. So,
you began your career at Corning, which has a wonderful technology development, product development process. You received your mentoring at Corning before you actually started Genencor. How did you approach the product pipeline stages at Corning? How did you learn to approach those stages and transfer that knowledge to Genencor? So how were you influenced with regard to pipeline stages at Corning that helped you at Genencor?
I was actually fortunate to spend almost a dozen years at Corning. Most companies use the staged approach to manage project pipelines. And at Corning, we used a 5-stage system, and that's in fact been well documented and publicized. It started with exploratory research and concluded with commercialization, which includes manufacturing, startup, sales, distribution. It includes everything that goes into actually having a commercial product. In recent years, this approach has been criticized as being maybe too rigid or slow. However, in my opinion, these faults seem to result more from implementation problems than from the system itself. Much of the value of this stage approach lies in the reviews that occur when moving a project to the next stage. These go, no-go decision points, sometimes called gates, require critical reviews and almost always result in resource commitments. although the projects may initially reside within the R&D organization, at least as you go forward, it's essential that the business, sales and marketing, and manufacturing leaders also be involved in these reviews and then these decisions. What we found, both at Corning and certainly at Genencor, was that we would actually have joint project leadership with a business development leader and a technical leader. And then we would get into the really late stages. You might be joined by a manufacturing project leader. And these leaders needed to be backed by a common view from the senior management of these various parts of the organization, so that you had actually an integrated approach. So I think there the background from a company that was well experienced in this kind of approach certainly proved useful later on at Genencor.
So we'll move with that information to the lower part of this slide, where we can see multiple years, we can see multiple projects. We can see that each project has a solid color which indicates the work that's been completed, and then it has a checkered color which indicates the work that remains. You can see that these projects are spread out over a number of years so that resources don't get consumed all at one time, but the resources get spread out over time so that we can have a continuum of projects constituting the real pipeline. I'm going to hurry us through part of this here. Concurrent technologies, you've heard me say, are very important and part of the pipeline management process. So is project management, to make sure that all of the work tasks are identified and on schedule, on budget. If not, changes can be made. Remember, our ultimate goal is where the pipeline ends, and that is the generation of cash from the sales of new end-use products. The outcome of pipeline management is the replacement of mature projects with new products, and then also an increase from knowledge and experience at rolling out more new products each year. From all of that, the corporate growth is assured, and that's critical, of course, for the life of the company. The next slide is going to address the tips which both Wayne and Art want to share with us. Art, thanks for your patience in getting to this point with me. And Wayne, would you be kind enough to talk about the industrial problem and how that might pull on technology?
Yes, hi Bernie, I sure will. But I have that integrated in my comments that will follow in a minute. So if you want to finish up on this slide, then I'll pick up with that point as I go through my presentation.
Okay, I'll be glad to do that. Thank you, Art. Wayne wants to make a comment about seeking outside validation, so I'm going to make that comment available to you now.
I think one thing that's important to understand is that you really need to concentrate on your key projects, key programs. For example, in the early years at Genencor, we weren't very large, and we would run into various kinds of problems. So we didn't have we had some information we could get from the parent, from our parent company. So we were a little better off than maybe average small company. but still we had to look for outside validation of what we were doing, and whether that came from a Procter & Gamble for applications in the laundry detergent area, or from other collaborators. We depended heavily on that.
Let's hear Wayne's comment about another tip. Planning's nice, but implementation is critical. Let's hear what Wayne has to say about that.
Well, I think I wanted to make some points about the fact that you can understand the pipeline, understand technology strategy, marketing strategy, but in order to actually implement this, you need to pay attention to a couple of key points. And one of them is you have limited resources. Don't squander them on too many projects. You can't afford to chase after every interesting idea. And you always will underestimate the time and resources required as it is. So concentrate your efforts on 2 or 3 best prospects. You'll identify these based on market size, likelihood of success, all the things we talked about. If these projects have a common technology base, that's even better. Ask the critical questions. If a project shows a fatal flaw, cut it sooner rather than later. Second point, and here's where we get to an example from Genencor. Don't starve your best project or product opportunities. Let them have the resources. There may well come a time, critical time, when you've got to face it, you've got to bet the ranch if you're going to get your winner across the finish line. Give it all the resources and urgent attention it needs. I can remember in the early days at Genencor, I came back from a negotiating session with Procter & Gamble, our development partner and customer. We were developing this enzyme for use in the Tide laundry detergent, their premium brand, so there's a lot of pressure. It's a pretty interesting negotiating session that we won't get into here, but so I called the R&D team together, and I said, look, I've got good news, and I've got bad news. The bad news is that we need to increase our yields. This is an enzyme made by a fermentation process. We have to increase our yields by a factor of 10 and be in production in 18 months. I was stunned, silenced. I said, but the good news is you can have anything the company has, whatever resources, they're yours. 18 months later, yields were up 15-fold, and we were in production.
Wayne has one more tip that he'd like to pass on to us, and it has to do with not bottling up technology, preventing that from happening. I'm going to call Wayne up again and have him share that.
One thing that we always considered was extremely important, and I think others may want to heed this, is that we never wanted the technology or potential products to be bottled up. In other words, if one of the parties didn't want to go forward, we really wanted in the case us, we wanted to be able to go ahead with that technology and do something else with it and not have it locked up and put on the shelf.
From these tips, we're going to take a look at real-life case management, real-time management, and Art, I thank you for letting us know how ATI approaches pipeline management. And Art, don't worry about the time here. We're still doing fine. Be sure to get across all the information that you want to get across. We'll get to the question and answers just a little after you get your description done. Have at it, my man.
Okay, thank you, Bernie, and good morning all. I hope you're still out there and are enjoying the presentation. I'll keep my comments to roughly 10 minutes. But before I begin, let me give a short overview of who ATI is, so you'll have a better idea of where my comments originate from. ATI is one of the largest and most diverse specialty metals producers in the world, with revenues of approximately $4.8 billion in the last 12 months. ATI has approximately 11,000 full-time employees worldwide who are using innovative technologies to offer global markets a wide range of specialty metals. Our major markets are aerospace, defense, oil and gas, chemical process, electrical energy, medical, and more. Our products include titanium and titanium alloys, nickel-based alloys and superalloys, grain-oriented electrical steels, stainless specialty steels, zirconium, hafnium, niobium, tungsten materials, forgings, and castings. We are a large company. Today, I will talk briefly on mechanics of how an industrial company, or maybe more specifically, our producer of specialty metals, builds and manages a pipeline of new products. Pipeline development starts by identifying the business's core competencies. These can be equipment, products, technologies, or intellectual property. It's helpful to identify which of the core competencies are unique and which have competition. When this internally focused work is complete, attention is directed externally, beginning with a thorough investigation of applicable markets to find unfulfilled needs, problems, and customers and end users who will benefit from the new development. What is being looked for is specific demand, so market pull will exist when the need is met or problem is solved. Market pull improves the chances of success many times. Success is defined as incremental, significant, profitable sales. The next step is to identify where the unmet needs or solution to problems intersect with core competencies. Where they intersect resides the best opportunities for development. Potential customers should then be visited to discuss and understand opportunities. While this is easy to say, it can be a long and difficult process. It has been our experience that the time spent up front doing our homework is the most powerful leverage we have to reduce development time and improve the performance of the new development products. With the facts gathered, a business case is developed. The business case includes determining whether the development opportunity is strategic, significant, and profitable. Only projects meeting all three criteria are selected for development. Another important criterion is to know whether the application for which the development is being done is for a new program with a promising future or a mature program that is aging out. After analyzing the business case, programs are selected that offer the greatest return on investment. Development pipelines may be managed many ways. It's my suggestion that the simpler the method, the better, as long as it does not ignore key elements. One simple method used is an Excel spreadsheet. The basics of the spreadsheet include the project's name, the market they will serve, who is responsible for development, marketing, and sales, the justification analysis, that is, are they strategic, significant, and profitable, target completion date, sales potential when mature, and a forecast for 5 to 10 years, showing that growth over that period of time, and of course current status. The development project list should be revised as often as possible to keep it accurate and vital. An important part of pipeline management is project management. A method used in the aerospace industry and on government programs is called TRL, Technical Readiness Levels. You may be familiar with it. NASA uses a 9-step technical readiness level program. The 9 steps are: 1. Determine the basic scientific principles that you have observed and report on them. Technical concepts are then formulated. Proof of concept experiments are performed. In TRL 4, product is validated in a laboratory environment. Then the new product is validated in a relevant environment. The new product is then demonstrated in a relevant environment. In TRL 7, demonstration is done in an operational environment. The actual product is then mission qualified, and in TRL 9, the actual new product is mission proven. For additional information, you can Google technical readiness level. We at ATI adapted NASA's 9-level system into 5 levels. They are pilot scale development, which is proof of concept in a laboratory environment, production scale development or validation in our shop environment, repeatability development showing the new product can be successfully reproduced, TRL 4 implementation in low rate production, and TRL 5 the final step, full rate production, where the responsibility for new development is transferred from research and development to the production organization. I think you'll see in the comments that I made there's a lot in common with the comments that you heard from Corning and the presentation that Bernie gave. In summary, the reason for developing new products and technologies in an industrial company is to generate incremental, profitable growth. New products, when selected properly and development is well managed, are a good way to accomplish this profitable growth. I thank you very much. Back to you, Bernie.
Wayne and Art, thank you so much. Thanks for letting us know how ATI approaches this important process and giving us some insight to a large company and how a large company moves forward with their projects. Thanks, Art. I'm going to move us to the next page. Very quickly say that we have worked to meet this objective for providing the mechanics on building and managing a pipeline based upon new technology platforms. The significance of the pipeline is to expand the mindset of the small R&D company from a single technology to multiple technologies and multiple end-use products. Introducing those end-use products provides a stream of revenue to the company upon which the company can grow. So what's next in the webinar series? The next one addresses intellectual property and how you go about securing that. I assure you that the attorneys who will be presenting that have a very, very good grasp of intellectual property strategy, not just how you prepare a patent. Of course, they've got an understanding between patenting and copyrights, know-how, etc. They also have a very good sense of the impact that the intellectual property has on the business, and they'll speak to that as well. That's our wrap up. Let me go to this next slide. Sometimes the platform doesn't move as quickly. We're going to get to questions and answers, but first I want to thank all of you on behalf of our Executive Director Chester Straub and the TRDA staff, including myself. I want to thank Wayne Pitcher for his constant support over the years and his input to this particular webinar and topic. And Art, you've been a delight to work with and a blessing to I can't say I found you, but I thank my friend who knew of you. Thank you for your interest and the input and insight that you gave us on pipeline management. Okay, so what's next? It's the question and answer period. So I'm going to invite all of you to send me a little Art some text chat, and we'll work to tackle these questions and do our best to give you some answers. as we wait for some questions to come in, Art, I'm going to ask you a question that I asked you in one of our working sessions, and I know your answer. I'd like for you to readdress it here. How is pipeline development and management different for the various industries and products that you develop into those industries? It's a variety of industries. Are they different?
The system we use is common for all industries, all those many markets that I mentioned at the beginning. And I think one of the very interesting things that confirms that is if you listen to the comments from Corning, there's businesses that have very different markets, products, and histories, yet they have a very common approach, touching the same key aspects of pipeline development and product development.
Art, this question is directed for you. I'm going to read the question. It comes from California, and the question is this. Would you kindly address how interaction with external capabilities can support or hinder the development of products along the pipeline? How do you manage the collaboration?
The collaboration is done as personally, person to person, as it can be done. The experience shows the more communication that is had that's in person and verbally is the best way to keep it alive and vital. Things do change over time. Knowing those changes allows the business to course correct, maybe stop development or change that development, and know it as quickly as possible. The development process sometimes can take a year or less. In those cases, there's not a lot of time for change, but in others that take many years, 3 to 5 years or even longer, changes should be expected. And it's only by working directly with the user of that technology, can you stay on top of that and not continue putting effort into a program that might have lost support, or as we talked about, the market pull may have gone away.
I'd like administratively to remind folks that those who would like to have slide sets from webinar number 3, please let me know by sending that request in the text messaging box in the lower right hand corner. Art, I'd like to follow up with Joe Marie's question. How do small R&D companies find you? How do you find small R&D companies? Are there databases? Are there connectories? What is out there to help each other find one another? And are you interested as a large company in finding smaller companies? And that's the third question, and I'm going to end right there.
Okay, maybe the best way to address that is to talk about what we do, and that is we're very well self-sufficient in our development. Our markets are very specialized, our products are as well. So most of the work that we do is internally driven, directly with our customers and within our research and development. From time to time we have a need for specialty, but usually it's involved in testing. We'll go out to a university or a laboratory that has unique capabilities to determine a specific aspect of the characteristics of one of our products. So we're more focused externally to our customer bases and markets than backward into looking for other technologies. That being said, every company, including ourselves, are always looking for a great opportunity that we didn't already come up with. So there's an interest in hearing about new technologies that are coming about, whether they're for cost reductions or for new products, or the application of existing products in new markets. I'm not sure I addressed those questions specifically, but hopefully that will give a sense of where ATI stands in that issue.
All right, I'm going to ask you to be kind enough to answer this question. The question says that, gee, several options have been presented, but what works best in the way of transactions? Is it joint ventures, consortia? Is there a lead, and are there others who follow? And how do you best control and maintain the partnering?
Okay, if you go back to the slide that was presented earlier that had a box that had four things in it: contract for service, co-development, joint ventures, end user investment. I go right to end user investment. The reality of our experience is that if we have one of our customers, an end user who needs a breakthrough in their technology, needs a new product development, that those are extremely good opportunities for us. We have a cooperative development work going from the very beginning. They're integral in the process, and when it's complete, that need has already been established. We don't have to go try to push it into the market. So of those four areas, the one that we think has the best opportunity for success is end user development.
I lost my place here in the questions, Art. Apologize to everyone for that. Here's the next one that I'd like for us to address. I'm going to just read this now, Art. As a commodity procurement person, I am involved in baselining study of components. However, I'm sorry. As questions came in, my space got moved. However, baselining all materials is critical to product projected costs. Do you have any companies or experts in material baselining, especially in rate earth material availability and cost?
Okay, that is probably referring to rare earths in that case. And our products don't use a lot of rare earths. There's a lot of attention being given to those around the world. The U.S. doesn't produce very many of it today. A lot of it comes out of China, and that's created concern as the demand for rare earths has gone up. We manage our commodities, which are typically other elements that are non-rare earths: nickel, cobalt, titanium, iron, molybdenum, other elements like that. We manage them very carefully so that we don't speculate. It is our business model not to speculate and try to make money in the market, as it might be, but to make money on the products that we sell. So there are tools out there that help people do that. You can buy financial hedges, and of course you can buy the material in advance as well, or buy it and put it into stocks. I'm not sure how well that addressed that question, but I have nothing else to add to that at the moment.
Well, there's a question here from Colorado that asks what you might recommend in the way of software tools that enable pipeline management.
The one that we use specifically is homegrown in Excel, and it's a very basic tool. It's nothing more than a spreadsheet. We developed it early on, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, as a way just to see what we were doing and keep track of it. Over the years, we've found out that it is a very good tool if it's updated regularly, and that may be, one of the things that I didn't emphasize as much in the presentation, but it's a very important aspect. As things change, as we learn from the customers, what is different. We constantly update that so that we can see the pipeline. That pipeline, as I mentioned, as one part of it is the forecast of 5 to 10 years towards maturity. And that pipeline, we can then look at the total of all those projects simply is the addition at the bottom of the page. So We have a goal each year. Then we can see do we have enough programs that are started that meet this year's goal, next year's, and then look out, do we have enough other projects that have a longer term horizon that will meet the goals in 5 years. Something I did not mention in the presentation was we define what a new product is. When does a new product become a standard product? Well, in the TRL system, we define it that way for development. But then from the time that we standardize it, we call it new for 5 years. So that pipeline of new products is being measured from 5 years from the time that they enter into service as a standard product. And then they age out, so we're able to capture it. Very often what we see in the first years is there's very limited sales as it's getting penetration into the market and people are beginning to use it in a greater effect. That 5-year time frame allows us to capture 1 or 2 good years usually, and then we're sorry to see it come off the list because we focus a lot on new products, and we like to see those numbers exceeding our goals.
Art, it is not a proprietary answer. I would like to know how ATI goes about investigating new base materials, new raw materials that might lead into new metals or new alloys. Do you do that? And if so, how do you do that, and what's its relationship to your pipeline?
There are no new elements that we're inventing or finding, but it's a combination and the amount of elements and how they interact with each other that is important in our alloys. So we have scientists and engineers in our research and development area that are constantly looking at that. Although the largest part of what we focus on is the D in R&D. Sometimes that pipeline the pipeline length is really long when you're doing basic research and pulling something that's brand new into service. Whereas development, you have a customer who wishes something, and I've often used a metaphor. If that development is a chip shot to the green or is it 250 yards across the water, we want to make sure we have a lot of development programs that the risk is very manageable, and we can accomplish what we set out to and not have everything be a very difficult long-term program.
This is another question for me. Sorry for dominating right here, but I am curious to know if ATI has integrated backward vertically and gotten into the raw material part of the supply chain.
We have in titanium. We have recently put in a titanium sponge facility. That is the first new sponge facility built in the U.S. in over 60 years. So that was a way that we looked to have a secure supply of that raw material, titanium in this case. So we do consider backward integration, but it's not a primary thing if the availability is secure otherwise. Mm-hmm. Now, Bernie, I'm going to have to excuse myself. I've got a commitment that I'm now a couple of minutes overdue for. So I offer my apologies to everybody, and we'll have to say goodbye.
Art, thank you so much. We've met the hour and thank you, Art. Folks, we are at an hour and 15 minutes. Our expert has moved on to his next scheduled item. Let me just see if there are any other comments here. Jim Fletcher, the question that you asked was related to a question I was just about to ask Art, but that's now done. So, folks, send me your very last questions now. I'll see what comes up, and then we'll call it a webinar. Okay, folks, thanks for being here. It's been a delight once again to work with the co-presenters and to work with you all in providing information that we hope is beneficial, helps the advancement of the technology, and brings eventually some revenue to your operations and eventually a benefit to our society. Thank you all very, very much, and continued success and continued good luck. This is a webinar.